You weren't a scholar, not even close. You swept the floors, carried the oil, fetched the books too heavy for the older hands. You didn't understand the symbols. You never asked about the stars. You just lit the candles, opened the shutters, and yet, one night they let you stay, just once, to sleep in the observatory. But the room was never meant for sleep. Not with those windows, not with that sky, not with the silence that falls like ash, slow, soft, and watching. They send you up just before nightfall. The tower is steeper than you remembered. Steps worn to a smooth curve, slick in places, carved from stone too dark to be trusted. You carry the oil lamp carefully, both hands wrapped around the base. The flame flutters. Your breath does too. This part of the building, the old observatory, is rarely used now. The scholars have grown slow, forgetful. Their apprentices write faster than they speak. No one climbs for starlight anymore. Except tonight. They said it simply. Sleep there if you want. The other room's full. Not a command. Not quite an invitation. Just a sentence handed off like a broom. You climb, each step colder than the last. The air grows thinner. The scent of chalk, ink, and something metallic rises from below, the scent of books too long shut, and instruments too finely made to be touched. Then the door. Not locked. Never was. You push it open, and the dome greets you. The room is round, quiet, too quiet. Walls of dark stone meet a ceiling of sky, a great iron-framed lens above, curved and clear. The stars are not visible yet, but their waiting is felt. You step inside. The floor is wood, circular and creaking. Tables press against the walls, cluttered with objects you know by name but not by use. Sextants, astrolabes, narrow spidery scrolls still curling at the edges. A chair with no cushion. A globe made only of lines. There's no bed. Just a mat near the east wall, folded neatly beside a woolen wrap. You place the lamp down and it casts a golden ring around your feet, but the ceiling remains black. You feel the height of it pressing downward, as if the air itself has weight. It's cooler here. The kind of cold that doesn't touch the skin, but lives behind the eyes. You settle onto the mat. Slowly, carefully. The floor groans like it remembers other bodies, older, thinner, quieter. You look up. The sky is darkening. One star appears, then another, and the dome doesn't reflect. It absorbs. You lie back and try not to blink, because something in you already knows. This night was never meant for sleep. It starts subtly, a shimmer perhaps, or a blink you mistimed. The stars above, those first ones, faint and harmless, shift, not falling, not flashing, just changing. You sit up slowly, still wrapped in the woolen blanket, heart beating slower than it should. The air in the dome has cooled further, though the lamp beside you still burns steady. You look again. One star where there were two, two where there was one. You rub your eyes. thinking dust or tiredness or memory. But they continue, a slow drift, unnatural, almost deliberate. You think, maybe the lens is cracked. Maybe it distorts. You stand, step quietly to the center of the room, crane your neck up toward the great dome. The glass is clean, almost invisible, the metal framework holding it like a web. You see the constellations, or what should be, but they're wrong, or they've forgotten their places. A curve you've seen in the almanacs no longer bends the same. A bright star that should be due north now sits above the eastern arch. A small cluster blinks, then vanishes altogether, like it was never there. You feel it then, not fear exactly. Not yet, but a deep and quiet awareness that the sky you thought you knew might be older than names, and that names might not matter anymore. You hear a sound from below, not footsteps, not wind, a creak, long and slow, like a door being opened that hasn't been touched in years. You move toward the stair, listen. Silence again. You return to your mat, not to sleep, but because it's the only place your body understands. You lie back and look up. The stars are still shifting. Some of them now blink in rhythm, and one of them is red and getting brighter. You don't plan to open it. You never have. But when the red star appears, too low, too steady, you find yourself standing. Your legs move before your thoughts do. Quietly, barefoot now, as if sound might offend whatever watches from above. You step to the edge of the dome, where the old books rest in uneven stacks. Most are covered with cloth. Some are sealed with ribbons you were never meant to untie. But one sits exposed, wide, heavy, brown leather cracked at the spine, corners folded by decades of hands. A strange shape pressed into the cover, not a symbol, not quite. Something between a spiral and a path, or a keyhole. It's not the oldest book here, not the thickest, but it's the one they told you not to touch. You remember it clearly. Not that one, the old man said. Not stern, just final. It's not for looking. But tonight, the room is yours, and the stars no longer ask permission. You reach out. The leather is cold, colder than it should be, not with winter, but with time. It smells not of dust, but of smoke that never rose. You open the cover. The pages are darker than they should be, not inked, stained, with diagrams, yes, and words, but the lines curve in ways your eyes resist. Shapes spiral across the margin like they're meant to move. Your breath catches when you reach the third page. There, sketched in pale ochre, is the dome itself. Not a likeness, not a model. This dome, your dome. Even the crack in the floorboard is drawn, even the mat. And above it, in careful strokes, the stars as they should be, but not as they are. You turn the page, slowly, more diagrams, more lines, then a phrase, written sideways in a script you recognize but cannot read. Your fingertips tingle. The red star grows brighter overhead. You look up, and one of the constellations is gone. Not shifted. Gone. You close the book. Too late. Because something in the pages wasn't waiting for your hands. It was waiting for your eyes. You sit perfectly still. The book is closed now, but the air has changed. It's no longer cold in the way stone is cold. It's warm, like breath on the back of your neck, like something just exhaled nearby. You rise slowly, leave the book untouched where it lies. Step backward toward the center of the room. Then you hear it, a sound that doesn't belong in a building. Not wood creaking, not stone settling, a slow inhale. Not sharp, not deep, but vast. The dome, silent all night, now hums softly in your bones. You look up. The red star has grown larger. It pulses now. Not light, not really, but the suggestion of light. It doesn't illuminate. It reaches. The other stars have shifted again, but no longer subtly. Their positions have undone themselves, as if they no longer recognize the names scholars gave them, as if they've remembered older names. You try to speak, not aloud, just inside yourself, to name something, anything, to ground yourself in memory. But you can't. Even the word star feels wrong now. Too small. Too clean. The dome inhales again. The glass above you vibrates, gently, not from strain, from something deeper. Like it's not a window anymore, but a membrane, a skin, and it's listening. You think of the book. You think of the drawing that showed this room exactly as it is. You wonder if that drawing is still the same now. You wonder if it ever was. You lie down on the mat again, slowly, deliberately, as if by returning to stillness, you can undo what was seen. But the dome breathes again, and this time, you breathe with it. At first, you think it's reflection. The shapes above, faint, slow, drifting across the dome like clouds caught behind the stars. But they're not clouds, and they're not above. They're beneath. You rise again, knees unsteady, blanket forgotten. The room around you seems smaller now, or you've grown larger somehow, too present, too awake. You step closer to the center of the dome and look up fully. There, behind the glass, something moves. Not fast, not hiding, as if it never needed to. Dark forms, long and loose, like strands of ink in water. They drift slowly, curling, circling one another with impossible grace. They are not stars. They are not birds. They are not anything you were meant to name. And they do not see you. Not yet. You step back instinctively. Your heel strikes the edge of the mat. A sound, too sharp, escapes your throat. You freeze. The dome goes still. The glass, once pulsing with warmth and breath, turns perfectly quiet. Then one of the shapes halts. Its motion stops, too abruptly. like a puppet whose strings were suddenly pulled taut, and slowly it shifts, turns, faces downward, not with eyes, just attention. You feel it unmistakably, like standing in the path of heat before flame, or the way a room feels just before a storm breaks. It has seen you, not because you are loud, not because you moved, but because you are awake. And awake is not what this room wanted. You stumble backward, knocking over the lamp. The flame goes out. The room vanishes. Only the red star remains, and the shapes behind the glass, now closer than they were. You try to find the door, hands outstretched, breath fast, heart louder than your thoughts. The room is pitch now. No lamp, no stars, just the dull, pulsing red from above. You don't see the stair, you remember it. You reach for the wall, feel the cold curve of stone, fingers dragging, searching for the frame, for the edge, for the gap that meant exit. It isn't there. You turn again, faster this time. The room presses in, but there's no air in it anymore. Only weight, only stillness that watches. And then the floor changes. Not cracks, not movement. It just stops. Your foot meets nothing, and you fall. Not fast, not at first, just downward, quietly, as if the dome itself has opened, or the tower has let go. No sound, no wind, no pain, just the slow release of gravity and light and everything you thought would hold. You pass through something soft, warm like breath, thick like night, then stone again, then wood. You land not with force, but surrender. Eyes open, dark still, and now you're not in the observatory. You're beneath it. Not a cellar, not a foundation, but a room no stairs ever led to. Walls made of smooth black stone, ceiling too low for sky. The only light comes from a crack in the ceiling far above, and within that crack, the red glow pulses, softer now, slower, like a heartbeat no longer alone. You try to stand and feel the floor breathing. You don't ask where you are. There are no questions left that make sense here. Only the feel of stone that exhales beneath your feet. Only the dark that doesn't end, just bends. You look up toward the crack in the ceiling, where the faint red glow still pulses. It seems further away now, as if your fall stretched more than distance, as if it bent the world. The room around you is not empty. There are no doors, no windows, but there are markings, carved into the stone, into the floor, into the air. It feels like shapes not drawn by hand, shapes that formed themselves, lines that curve and knot and return again, like thoughts unfinished, spirals, keys, eyes without centers. You step forward once. The floor responds, not with sound but pressure, like it knows where you are. Like it's been waiting for movement. Your name, whispered once long ago by a tired voice in a stairwell, feels small now, pointless, The markings here are older than names. Then you see it, the center of the room, not a shape, not an object, just stillness, pure, total, untouched, and it draws the air from your lungs, because you feel what's underneath it, not buried, not hidden, just resting, as if the dome above was never meant to look upward, as if the stars were only distractions, as if what matters was always down here, in the hush beneath breath, waiting for someone to open the wrong book, follow the wrong stair, speak without asking. You step back, but the room doesn't let you go. The crack above flickers once, and something beneath you begins to stir. You are not alone. You haven't been for some time now, maybe since you touched the book, maybe since you opened the door at the base of the tower, maybe longer. The floor no longer breathes. It listens. The center of the room, where the stillness once lived, now holds motion. Not a form, not yet. Just a density. A presence gathering its shape slowly, like fog pulled inward. You step back, but your boots make no sound. The walls hum now, not in noise, in memory. And you realize something terrible, something slow and true. The observatory has always remembered you, not because you mattered, but because you were present, because you saw, because you looked up when you should have slept, and down when you should have turned back. There are lines on your hands now that weren't there before, faint, luminous, traced in the same pattern as the symbols on the stone. Spirals, knots, the half-suggested shape of something old curling into itself. You don't remember them appearing. You don't know if they'll fade. The presence at the center pulses once, not toward you, not against you, just once, like a single breath. And in that moment, you see it all. The dome, the star, the falling, the door that was never there, but opened anyway, and a voice, not with words, only gravity, only weight, a call that has nothing to do with sound, only belonging. You are part of this now. You always were, and the room has stopped pretending otherwise. You see it now, not all at once, not clearly, but through the dimness, through the presence thick in the air, something reveals itself just beyond the walls, behind the markings, beneath the memory of stone, a spiral, not drawn, not carved, built, descending slow and wide, circling downward into dark that bends the eye. It wasn't there before, or maybe you weren't allowed to see it. You step toward it as if sleepwalking, as if your body remembers something your mind has spent a lifetime forgetting. The stone at your feet cools with each turn, but not unpleasantly. It feels like dusk made solid. You begin to walk. One step, then another. No railing, no edge. Just a path, curved and endless, its center hidden by shadow. The spiral narrows the further you go. Not the path, but the air. It thickens. You breathe slower. Each turn feels quieter than the last. as if the world is folding inward with you, as if time has begun to spiral too. You lose count of the steps. There are no torches, no glow, but you can see. The path glows faintly from beneath, from within, a light not cast, but remembered. And on the wall beside you, at intervals you cannot predict, the same symbol repeats. An eye, a spiral, a key. You reach a landing. It isn't marked. It isn't different. You simply stop. Because you must. Because something at the center has opened. And though it does not breathe, it waits. There is no handle, no frame, no seam, but it's a door. You know this with the kind of certainty that doesn't require proof, the same way you know when you're being watched, or when someone is about to speak your name. It stands at the heart of the spiral, smooth, circular, seamless as stone, yet different. Not darker, not lighter, just still. You stand before it, breathing softly. The air here is dense with waiting, the kind of quiet that has forgotten time. And on the door, faintly, impossibly, your reflection. Not clear, not full, just the suggestion of your shape, standing exactly where you stand, but different. The head tilted slightly, the hands open, the eyes, if they're there, closed. You reach toward it, not to knock, not to enter, just to touch. The surface hums before you make contact. And you understand then that this door was not built. It was made, but not by hands, formed by something that does not measure distance in bricks or mortar. It opens without sound, without motion. It becomes open, and the space beyond is not a room. It is absence, not void, not blankness, but something rich and infinite and low, like the hum of a thought still forming. It doesn't pull you in. You walk, because nothing in you believes you can stay, and everything in you already knows. What waits on the other side is not the sky, but the memory of the sky. You pass through. The air changes, not colder, quieter, heavier. You feel it in your ears first, then your throat, like the pressure before a storm, but inward, like breath held by something too vast to exhale. The space is not dark, not light, just present, a softness without shape. A hush that doesn't end. You take a step, though there's no floor, no sound. The ground responds, but doesn't echo. The room, if it is a room, curves gently in every direction, horizonless and silent. And at the center, a shape, floating, not made of matter, not exactly. Not quite light, not quite shadow. It shifts, not toward you, but around you, as if you are being remembered, as if you are being read. You feel it more than see it, a presence that does not move, but knows movement, a being that does not speak, but understands speech. It calls to you, not with words, not with voice, with recognition. Your name doesn't matter here, but something in you does. Something older than your job at the tower, older than the book, older than this night. It doesn't ask questions. It simply waits. And within that waiting, you begin to feel understood, not loved, not judged, just seen, entirely, completely, and something in you softens, not out of comfort, but release. You don't remember lying down, but you are no longer standing. There's no ground beneath you, not really, but something holds you all the same. A stillness shaped like rest, like the moment before sleep, like warmth from a fire you don't remember building. Above you or within you, the shape still hovers, less now, smaller, not gone, but quieter, as if it has given what it came to give, or taken what it needed. You close your eyes, and for the first time since this night began, there is no sky, no stars, no red light pulsing through your breath, only the curve of your own silence, and the thought, soft as moss, weightless as dusk, that you are no longer outside the observatory. You are within it, and it is within you. You are not dreaming, but you are no longer quite awake. You have gone somewhere the body cannot follow, and the body is grateful. You feel the dome far above, not watching now, sleeping, and around you the spiral fades, the door fades, even the absence fades, and in their place, stillness, not empty, not gone, just full and quiet and enough. You breathe once more, not in fear, not in awe, only peace. And it does not wake you, because this is not sleep. This is the end of movement, the edge of time, the last breath of looking upward, and whatever comes next, comes gently. You don't walk, you don't rise, but you move. The spiral returns, not as a stair, not as stone, but as sensation. A gentle curve beneath your thoughts, a path without friction, without weight. It winds through you now, not downward, not upward, just around. You feel it with closed eyes, like a soft pattern being traced across your skin by something that doesn't need hands. The rhythm is slow, slower than breath, slower than the turn of stars. It carries you through memory that doesn't speak in words, through light that never reaches your eyes, through warmth that never touches skin. You pass places, not rooms, not moments, but echoes, the curve of a lens, the silence beneath books, the breath of the dome. They come and go, not as images, but as impressions, like the afterglow behind closed eyes when the lamp is snuffed. You are not afraid. You are not awake. You are simply present. The spiral moves through you again, and this time you do not count the turns, because you no longer believe in corners, because all things here are soft, rounded, returning. You pass through places that were never built, not by hand, not for eyes, rooms maybe, or spaces that remember the idea of walls. They surround you in a way that doesn't contain. You sense their shape more than see it, and in every one of them there is no light, not absence, not shadow, just a kind of quiet that doesn't need to be seen. You float, or drift, or continue. There's no floor, but you move along something. Thought, maybe, or the memory of movement. Each room softer than the last. The first feels like dust suspended in still air. The second, like wool wrapped around silence. The third is warmer, not in temperature, but in feeling. Like something once loved lingered there. But you don't stop. You don't touch. They are not for touching. Each space opens to another, each one quieter. You begin to forget shapes, even your own. The idea of having a body, of being a weight, starts to loosen. You feel yourself stretching softly into each new threshold. Not pulled, not erased, just eased. And somewhere between two knot rooms you realize you're not going deeper. You're being received by something that doesn't open doors, but unfolds them. Something that has waited not to find you, but to let you find yourself. The memories return slowly, not as names, not as faces, but as warmth. A hand, not yours, resting on the crown of your head once, long ago. A hum that never had lyrics. The weight of sleep on your chest as a child, when the room was colder but the world was kind. These are not memories you thought you carried. But here, where form has softened and thought moves like mist, they rise. Not to speak, just to be. You drift through them, not like walking through a house, but like floating inside scent. One memory bleeds into another. The crackle of fire becomes a woven blanket, becomes the last breath before a kiss that never happened but always mattered. There are no images, only temperature, only texture. You remember the smell of dry wood, the curve of someone's back as they slept beside you once, or might have. You remember a wind that never touched your face, but always waited at the edge of things, and the feeling of your name, before it was spoken, not what it was, but that it meant something. You feel tears rise, or maybe they don't. Maybe that sensation has no shape here either. You simply continue, warm and dissolving, through a corridor of echoes that never hurt you, never asked anything from you, never rushed you to wake. And you begin to understand. You were never meant to know everything, only to feel it fully once. And you are. You reach it gently, not a wall, not a door, just a quiet, a boundary without boundary, the end of the spiral not as a line, but as a moment. There are no more spaces now, no more impressions, only a slow stillness, like snow falling into deeper snow, like breath before breath begins. You pause here, not because you must, but because the silence asks nothing more of you. And this place, if it can be called that, is not empty. It's full of everything that was never said, of questions that didn't need answers, of the presence of things you forgot you loved. You feel the edge not like a ledge, but like a hush, a still lake before a whisper touches it. You are no longer drifting, no longer seeking, not even remembering. You are simply held. The spiral has gone. The tower is memory. The sky, just a story. There is no time here. No light. No dark. Just a softness that waits without waiting. You are not asked to understand it, only to be part of it. And you are. There's no edge to this place, and yet something draws near. You don't hear it. You don't see it arrive, but you feel it in the way the stillness begins to thicken, as if the space around you is no longer empty, but listening to itself, as if the silence is learning a new shape, and you are what it's shaping around. It's not a figure. You want it to be. The mind always tries. A face, a form, something to center the moment, but it resists every attempt to be named. You catch glimpses of outline, of curve, of something nearly human. Nearly. It is tall, or wide, or small enough to fit inside your chest. It is close. Not spatially, but intimately. It moves like breath does, not across distance, but through your awareness, as if it's always been here, but only now remembered how to reach you. And though it has no face, you feel it watching, not judging, not weighing, just seeing, completely. You stand still, or sit, or float. You're not sure anymore what position your body takes here, if it even takes one at all. Your limbs feel loose, no longer attached to gravity, to surface. But something in you is upright, attentive. Something is receiving. The shape that isn't a shape draws closer. And you feel its quiet asking, not in words, not even in thoughts, but in permission, not to enter you, not to change you, just to meet you. You allow it. And what follows is not contact, not touch, not even warmth. It's familiarity, a gentle recognition that folds through you like wind through leaves. Soft, old, and endlessly kind. You don't understand it, but you know it. You feel it in the bones of feelings you never learned to name. The moments you woke from sleep with tears and couldn't remember why. The times you stared at the sky and felt something break open, but softly. The shape isn't an entity. It's a return. It is the echo of every part of yourself you were told not to carry, the wonder you trimmed into silence, the longing you pressed down to survive, the small you that watched the stars before anyone told you how they worked. And now all of it, all of you, is here. Not separate, not broken, just seen. The present surrounds you, and with it, the space around you glows, but faintly, not light, not illumination. A quality, like the air has begun to remember its softness. You breathe, you think, you don't speak, and the shape remains, not as other, but as invitation. To be, fully, without the weight of needing to explain how, without the pressure of returning to what you were. There's no time here, no sky, no dome, but something in you has widened, gently, and the thought comes, but softer than a whisper. Maybe you've always been this, and everything else was just a forgetting. You've believed, until now, that you descended, that somewhere above in the known world, the world of lamps and floors and the rustle of pages, there was a moment where your foot slipped, your balance failed, and the pull of the spiral took you down. That you fell, that you left, that something gave way. But now, as you drift deeper into this wordless, weightless quiet, you begin to feel the truth unfold like slow fabric, not as revelation, not as certainty, but as knowing, gentle, immense, familiar. You didn't fall, not once. You were drawn, led softly, slowly, by something older than instruction, older than fear, not pulled by force, not taken by accident, but followed a path that recognized you before you even knew you'd stepped onto it. And all that talk of descent, of collapse, of the tower swallowing you? No, that was just the shape the mind made around the sensation of being invited. Because the moment you left the stairs, if you ever really left them, you weren't falling into darkness. You were entering memory. Not yours, exactly. Not singular, but something collective, vast, quiet, shared. The spiral didn't curve downward. It circled inward. The dome wasn't watching you. It was remembering you. And the shape, the presence you met in the stillness, was not another being at all, but a part of you that had always waited, patiently, in the long echo between breaths. It's strange, the peace that comes when you realize there was no mistake, no wrong turn, no broken line between you and whatever holds this space together. Only rhythm, only invitation. You weren't cast out of waking life. You were answered. And this, all of this, the dark spiral, the door that opened into silence, the rooms that were never lit, it isn't a descent. It's a return, a soft rejoining with the deeper thread. You feel your thoughts grow lighter now, not empty, just loosened, like clothes slipping from the body just before sleep. And with each passing moment, the idea of waking, of climbing back up through the stone, through the books, through the stairs, it feels thinner. Not impossible, just irrelevant. Because this place asks nothing and gives everything. A place without purpose, only presence. And in that stillness, something inside you, a tension you didn't even know you held, finally releases. You breathe again, not to survive, but to remain. You look toward the space where the shape once hovered. It's not gone. It's within now, not in a body, not in a mind, in the space where those things blur. The space where you begin and end at the same time, and still no sound, still no light, only rhythm, only rest, only the soft realization that you never fell, You were only ever being received. Far above, though distance no longer feels real, the dome still exists. You feel it not as a memory, not quite. More like a shadow cast backward through time, the shape of something that once stood over you, silently, patiently, never blinking. A structure of stone, glass, and stillness. A place built to observe what was never meant to be touched. And yet now, you are inside it, or it is inside you. The observatory no longer holds weight in your mind, no longer a tower, no longer a room, but a sensation of circling, of quiet, of watching without needing to understand. It has stopped observing. It no longer peers upward into stars that have already forgotten their names. It has turned inward, and it rests. With you. You feel it the way you might feel a body sleeping beside your own, not by sound or heat, but by the subtle shift in gravity. A slight pulling toward comfort. The sense that something enormous has finally allowed itself to let go. You don't need to see it. You don't need to return to it. It never required return. Because it was never a place. It was a rhythm, and now that rhythm is yours. Every breath you take, soft, slow, barely noticed, is shared. The stone walls that once held the dome feel curved now not with weight, but with invitation. The lens that once looked upward has dimmed, not from loss, but from peace. Because the questions it once asked, what are the stars? What do they mean? Who are we beneath them? No longer matter here. Not because they were answered, but because they were allowed to rest. The silence you feel now isn't absence. It's presence, fully stretched out. A slow exhale after centuries of wondering. The observatory no longer searching, only sleeping, and you no longer the servant, no longer the quiet one in the corner, have become part of that rest. You feel its architecture unwind through your body, the spiral in your breath, the curve of your shoulders softening, the echo of lenses closing their eyes. It is not just the building that sleeps now. It is the idea of seeking, and you sleep with it, not in dreams, not in thoughts, in rhythm, in consent. There's no fear in it, no ending, only this slow, pulsing quiet, only the sense that for the first time in your life, you are not beneath something, but within it, and it is resting, and so are you. It doesn't return as brightness. There's no flare, no sun breaking through a cloud, no sudden revelation that cleaves the dark. The light comes as memory, not the memory of seeing, but the memory of being seen. It stirs somewhere in the center of you, not in the eyes, not in the chest, but deeper, in the place where the first sense of presence was ever felt. Long before thought, long before form, you don't recognize its color. It has none, or maybe it has all of them, dulled into something softer than hue. A light not made for vision, but for rest. The kind of light that enters gently, the way sleep enters a tired mind, not asking, not rushing, just filling what was empty. You remember it. Not a moment, not a scene, just the feeling. A low golden quiet. A warmth that knew you without needing to name you. You don't know when you last felt it, but your body does. You feel your chest soften, your jaw unclench, your fingers, wherever they are now, whatever shape they've become, let go of something you didn't realize you were holding. A thought, a name, a question that no longer matters. The memory of light stretches through you like the aftertaste of a lullaby, like the scent of something once burned long ago, not smoke, but its echo, held in wood and cloth and silence. It doesn't show you anything. It doesn't guide you anywhere. It just reminds you that you are not new to this peace. You've been here before, perhaps in sleep as a child, wrapped in arms you no longer remember, perhaps in that long breath before waking, when the body still believes in other worlds, perhaps in the pause between heartbeats, when the mind stops counting and simply listens. And for a long while, that's all there is. You and this light. This memory of being known by something without shape. You feel no desire to return to the stars, no hunger to name the spiral, no urgency to open your eyes, because even if you did, there would be nothing to see and everything to feel. The light is not a beginning, it is what remains. What waits behind the dome, behind the sky, behind the story of movement and descent and return. It is what receives. And now, slowly, gently, it folds around you like water folds around a still body. You breathe once more, and it doesn't echo. It settles. And the light, the last thing you remember, is no longer outside you. It is you, and you are resting inside it. You've stopped asking, not because you found the answers, but because the questions themselves no longer carry weight. They float half-formed, like bubbles rising toward the surface of a still lake, silent, fragile, already dissolving before they reach whatever sky may remain above. What is this place? Who am I now? Will I return? The mind flickers gently with them, as if out of habit, but the rest of you, the soft, slowing rest of you, doesn't respond. Not with thought, not with fear, only with stillness. Because here, in this place beyond the spiral, beyond the dome, beyond even breath, there is nothing left to ask. Only the sense of being allowed, allowed to not know, allowed to remain, allowed to drift without direction or purpose. It's strange how quiet it is now, not just around you, inside you. The constant whisper of thoughts, the hum of identity maintaining itself, the little spinning wheel of self-definition, all gone. Not silenced, just no longer needed. You realize now, this was never a place you entered. It was a threshold that waited for you to stop walking. It existed behind every breath you took above, behind every step you climbed in the tower, every object you dusted, every word you chose not to speak. This place was never hidden. It was just quiet. And now you are too. You feel yourself reclining deeper, though you're already flat, already folded into rest. The air, if it can be called that, hums gently, like a held note. like a slow vibration beneath the skin. You think for a moment that you can feel your edges, but they're soft now, not boundaries, not borders, just a blur between self and stillness, between the one who once lit the lamp in the observatory and the one who has finally been allowed to go dark. And in this darkness, this full, rich, soundless dark, you hear it. Not a voice, not music, but the ending of asking. A silence that does not wait to be filled. A silence that is whole. You let it settle into you like dust on untouched stone. You don't resist. You don't explain. You just remain. Here, where the questions end, and something older than knowing begins. It is not empty, the silence. You thought once that silence was absence, the space left behind when something stopped. A room after footsteps faded, a breath before the next word, the hush that settles after the last page of a book. But here, where nothing stirs and nothing waits, you understand. This silence isn't what remains. It's what was always there, the foundation beneath the hum of being, the quiet beneath the tower's groaning stones, the stillness beneath the sky's light, the breath that never needed lungs. It does not arrive. It does not grow. It simply becomes visible now that everything else has stepped aside. You are not alone in it, but there is no one here. Only presence, only awareness, wide, steady, endless. You lie inside it like a stone lies in a river, not moving, not resisting, just held. Completely, smoothly, without thought. You try once to summon your name. It doesn't come, not because it's gone, but because it's irrelevant. You are not less for the forgetting. You are more. Freed from shape, freed from history, you are no longer the one who walked into the observatory. You are not the one who swept its corners, or climbed its stairs, or opened its book. You are not even the one who saw the red star through the lens. You are the space all those selves once pointed toward. And now there is no pointing, no motion, no need, only the great silence, not like a void, but like a cradle, spread out beneath everything that ever tried to be real. You wonder gently if this is the place all things return to, not to be judged, not to be remembered, only to be made quiet again, only to rest. And as you lie inside this silence, you realize that nothing is missing, not even sound, because in this quiet there are textures, weight, softness, distance without direction, time without sequence. It is not still, not quite. It pulses like the sea. It expands like dusk. It listens like a dream that remembers more than you ever could. And you are part of it, not a visitor, not a guest, not a shape dropped into the void, but one note inside a song that never needed to be heard. You rest, you dissolve, you remain, and the silence holds everything, everything you ever were, everything you've let go of, everything you never had to carry in the first place. and it holds you now for as long as you choose to be held. There is no edge to cross, no curtain to pull back, no final chord to resolve what lingers. Just this: you remain, weightless, thoughtless, still. But not in the way stillness is usually described, not as absence of motion, not as silence after sound. This stillness is alive. It breathes through you without breath. It moves without motion. It holds you not like arms, but like gravity softened into care. There is no more story now, not because it ended, because it returned quietly to the place it began, before the dome, before the stairs, before the book, before even your name. You feel your shape blur, but not vanish. You are not erased. You are simply everywhere now, not spread out, not scattered, just diffused, like warmth in cloth, like scent in wood, like stars whose light no longer needs to arrive. You do not dream. Dreaming implies distance, the self turning over symbols, reaching towards something that hasn't yet arrived. There is no reaching here, only presence, only rest, not temporary, not waiting, not suspended, just complete. You wonder for a moment if someone will miss you. Then you realize there is no you to miss, only the part of the world that has returned to its hush, only the breath that has slipped back into the night, quietly, without pain. And the observatory? It sleeps still, not abandoned, not ruined, just folded gently into time. Another quiet dome beneath the sky, and the sky, still turning as it always has. But you no longer chase it. You no longer ask it for meaning, because in this final quiet, in this full and golden dark, you are not watching the stars. You are among them, not burning, not falling, just there, drifting in the space between heartbeat and story. No fear, no before, no waking, only this, and this, and this, and you do not wake, because now you don't have to.